discover the incredible life-changing moment when one kind teenager helped an abandoned woman. Ethan Evans couldn't have expected how one hot afternoon could alter his life forever. As he sorted cans at the Maplewood Food Bank, glancing occasionally at the door, who would have imagined a surprise that would redefine helping? When Clara shuffled in, her body frail and eyes shadowed, time seemed to freeze. The worn-out woman looked more like a ghost than a person, yet something about her pulled at Ethan's heart. He felt his chest tighten, not just from the heat, but from the undeniable weight of her presence, the quiet strength that lay beneath her tattered exterior. It didn't help that Ethan was navigating high school pressures already. The financial struggles at home loomed heavy, but with a proud veteran father, and a mix of kindness and duty swirling inside him, Ethan was taught to shoulder burdens gracefully. Little did he know, Clara was about to become the most important lesson of all. At first, that lesson came hesitantly. When Ethan approached Clara, introducing himself, her eyes widened, and her sunken cheeks whispered stories of despair and lost hopes. "I was an artist once," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper, "before life decided to strip that away." In those few words, Ethan felt an echo of every dream he'd ever wanted to chase himself. He listened, entranced, as Clara painted a vivid picture of art, colors splashing across canvases, hopes woven into every stroke. Her haunted past coaxed forth Ethan's empathy like an unquenchable fire. Yet, as he openly befriended Clara, classmates brought their judgment swirling in like storm clouds. Laughter chased him down the hall, taunts piercing through the sound of his heartbeat. "Why would you talk to her?" they sneered. "She has less than you." With each jab, Ethan's conviction swelled. How could friendship be less than? He didn't flinch. Instead, he met the gazes of his peers with fierce determination, asking himself daily, what is right? Ethan's fierce act of defending Clara from the harsh words of his peers landed him in the local news spotlight. He stood firm, words flowing from his heart, vibrations of kindness wrapping around Clara as he shielded her from scorn. The very day the footage went viral, support flooded in, but it was without scorn. Many saw him as a traitor to his community, a teenager caught in the crossfire of compassion and popular opinion. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Unyielding, Ethan envisioned a future where Clara could transcend her past. Without hesitation, he organized an art exhibit to showcase her masterpieces, determined to prove that talent could break through despair. Canvases that held echoes of a hard life would transform a simple gallery into a sanctuary of hope. The community buzzed, either in support or indignation, as Ethan poured every ounce of his strength into this cause. Faced with whispers of doubt, a brewing confrontation shifted the air just as the exhibit opened. Would the community embrace Clara's art, or would they remain shackled by prejudice? While laughter mixed with doubt floated backstage, one whisper stopped Ethan cold. "You can't change their hearts, Ethan." But his heart raced with an unwavering pulse of courage. Change was possible, and worth fighting for. Would Clara's truth ignite a shift in Maplewood, or would they shun it? The night held its breath, and so did Ethan. As the doors swung open for the opening night of Clara's art exhibit, a rush of anxiety washed over Ethan. The gallery was packed, people mingling, laughter rising as friends and strangers alike admired the vibrant artwork that Clara had created. Each canvas breathed stories of struggle, resilience, and hope, colors sweeping across the walls like a tapestry of life in full bloom. Yet, Despite the energy surrounding him, Ethan felt the heavy knot of doubt in his stomach. "Will they see her?" he whispered under his breath, glancing toward Clara, who was nervously adjusting her scarf, her fingers trembling with uncertainty. This was her moment, and he could feel the weight of it pressing down on both of them. He stepped beside her, offering a reassuring smile. "You've got this, Clara. Just look at your work," he said, gesturing at the bright paintings that burst with emotion. Each piece captured a fragment of her spirit, reflecting the strength hidden beneath her frail exterior. "They're amazing. You're amazing." Clara looked up at him, her eyes glistening. "What if they don't understand?" she lamented quietly, fear etched on her face. "Then we show them what art can do," Ethan replied, the prompt urgency of determination swelling in his chest. "We fight for your voice tonight." He squeezed her shoulder, grounding both of them in that moment. As they moved deeper into the gallery, Ethan caught snippets of conversation around him. Some voices were appreciative, filled with awe at Clara's raw talent. Others, however, crackled with skepticism and bias. "Can you believe he brought her here? A homeless woman's art?" one voice uttered disdainfully. "What a waste of time. She's just a nobody," another chimed in, sharp and unforgiving. Ethan clenched his fists, anger surging through him. He refused to let their words seep into his resolve. The moment had to be about Clara and her journey, not these hollow opinions that reeked of ignorance. But the whispers took root, and the air became thick with tension. "Ethan?" A familiar voice broke through the chaos. It was Mia, one of his classmates. Her expression was curious but mixed with concern. "You really think this is a good idea?" she asked, her brow furrowed with doubt. Mia's question startled him, prompting a moment of introspection. "Why wouldn't it be?" he replied, willing his voice to stay steady. "What if you were in her shoes? Wouldn't you want someone to take a chance on you?" She looked surprised and took a step back, perhaps contemplating the depths of those words. No one had asked her to consider the world through someone else's eyes before. Ethan turned away, feeling a rush of hope. Maybe, just maybe, he could weave understanding tonight. As the crowd began to disperse, silence fell heavily around Clara's first canvas, a vibrant explosion of color that depicted hope rising from darkness. Ethan stood close behind her, watching as each person took a moment, studying her creation. Then, a voice stood out among the murmurs. A woman, perhaps in her 50s, approached and pointed to a detail in the painting. "This reminds me of my own struggles," she said softly, tears welling in her eyes. "Your pain resonates with me." Ethan held his breath, excitement mingling with disbelief. Could this moment be the spark they needed? Clara's art was reaching someone. But just as joy erupted in his heart, another voice chimed in, cutting through the ambience like ice. "Art doesn't come from discarded people," it scoffed. Ethan's heart sank. He turned, ready to confront the naysayer, but Clara's hand grasped his arm, holding him back. She tilted her chin up, the spirit of her past flickering in her eyes. "Wait," she whispered. "Let us see what happens." In that moment, the tension in the air thickened, mixing with a glimmer of hope. Would the voices of empathy drown out the shadows of prejudice? As they stood together at the heart of the storm, Ethan realized that the path toward change wouldn't just be easy. Would Clara's artwork have the power to transform hearts, or would they remain trapped in their old beliefs? The answer lingered in the air, heavy with possibility, and Ethan couldn't help but wonder what might happen next. A hush fell over the gallery, and Clara's breath hitched as she searched for the woman who had spoken. The warmth of shared pain wrapped around her, pushing back against the icy comments echoing in her mind. The current of voices faded slightly, the world narrowing down to just her and the woman who seemed ready to unveil her own story. "Tell me more," Clara implored gently, afraid to breathe too deeply, as if she might scare the moment away. The woman stepped closer, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. "I lost my son last year," she began, her voice a tremble. "Every day feels like I'm drowning under the weight of memories. But when I saw your painting, it plucked a chord in me. It made me feel something I thought I'd forgotten. Hope." Tears brimmed in her eyes, sparkling like diamonds against the backdrop of the vibrant canvases. Ethan shared a quick glance with Clara, their hearts racing together in unison. For the first time, Clara could see a shift forming, the power of her art taking hold, reaching beyond judgment and skepticism. "But," the woman continued, her voice barely above a whisper, "that hope is fleeting. How do you keep it alive?" Clara looked down at her painting again, as if the answer hid within the strokes of color. It hadn't just been about translating her pain onto the canvas. It was a declaration that she was still here. "You carry it with you," she said, at last finding her voice. "Even when it feels heavy, you don't let it crush you. You create something beautiful out of it. Art is what holds us together." The woman nodded slowly, as if digesting Clara's words. In that moment, Ethan noticed a ripple of quiet curiosity spread through the crowd. Eyes shifted from Clara's canvases to the woman, wrapped in her vulnerability. "See?" Ethan whispered, his voice a low hum of excitement. "They're starting to listen." But the shadows emerged again, one dismissive scoff louder than the others. "Great, now we're getting life advice from a street rat." Ethan's fists clenched, ready to respond. But Clara squeezed his arm, not because she lacked bravery, but because she understood that every version of understanding started with dialogue, not confrontation. "Let it go," she said softly, tilting her head, and he felt the weight of her calm. "Your story matters," she called out over the crowd, inviting everyone into her moment. "Every life matters. And I'm here, pouring my heart out, because I believe in the power of connection." A murmur broke through the onlookers. People glanced at one another, surprise painting their features as Clara's voice broke through the thick air. "Art can tell our stories, if we let it," she said, her voice rising, weaving an invisible bridge between her and the doubters. "No one is beyond hope, beyond help. It's our shared experiences, our struggles that make us human." A silence settled like a soft blanket, wrapping around Clara and her audience, offering warmth. It was fragile but real. Finally, the original woman stepped forward, her expression resolute. "I'm willing to listen. I want to understand." A wave of encouragement rippled through the room. Ethan's heart soared. Clara's truth was drawing the crowd in, like moths to a flame, illuminating even the darkest corners of doubt. But just as Clara felt a surge of empowerment, a voice from the back shouted, "You think you can change minds with pretty pictures? Show me the truth." Ethan's breath caught in his throat. This was the moment he had feared, the moment of confrontation. Clara looked at him, her expression steady, but a flash of worry lingered. "Clara," he murmured, unsure, "what do we do? Are we ready for this? What if they don't see it?" She straightened her shoulders, a determination sparking in her fledgling spirit. "Then we embrace it. Every part of it. We can't back away now." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of her courage filling him from the inside out, igniting a flame of resilience in both of them. The tension was taut, but it was Clara's turn to endure. As the storm loomed closer, the outcome hung in the balance. Would she stand tall, transforming the opinions around her? Or would her vulnerability falter, swallowed by prejudice? With the entire gallery now focused on Clara, the air thickened with expectation. Ethan's heart beat wildly, knowing this was only the beginning. What would it take to break the barriers that divided them? And would both Clara and Ethan find their stand in a world eager to see change? Clara felt the weight of each pair of eyes on her. The crowd's uncertainty hung in the air, thick like fog. She could almost feel it, wrapping around her like a cocoon. But inside, her heart was pounding like a drum. "You want the truth?" she called out, her voice stronger than she felt. "I'll show you the truth through my painting. It's not just color on a canvas. It's the heart of a mother, the fear of loss, the strength to carry on." The shadows of doubt buzzed around her, but Clara pressed on, forcing herself to believe in her own words. She stepped closer to her painting, arms outstretched. "Look at it, this is my story. I painted every brush stroke with pain, hope, and the whispers of dreams lost and found. Each layer you see is a piece of my soul." In that moment, the whole room felt still. She could see the woman in front of her, tears slipping down her cheeks silently, nodding against the vulnerability they were sharing. Clara took a breath, bobbing her head toward the rest of the crowd. "We've all had our struggles. That scorn you feel in the gut? It's a reminder that we're human. Aren't we all wandering, trying to find a path through our pain?" Ethan sensed the shift. People were pulling closer, leaning in. He tightened his grip on Clara's arm, giving her silent support. Yet, from the back, the naysayer pushed again. "What are you, some kind of guru now? You think your little art show means something?" Clara gritted her teeth, but kept her gaze steady. "It means something to me. And if you can't see that, maybe you need to look deeper. Behind every artwork is a pulse, a heartbeat. Maybe it represents someone like you, or someone you love. You can't reduce it to mere aesthetics." As she spoke, more murmurs rippled, as if others were feeling the weight of truth in her words. Eyes glanced from Clara to the painting and back again, contemplating. Anxiety danced in her chest, but she welcomed it. This was a moment for connection, not for fighting. The woman who had stepped forward earlier raised her hand, interrupting the wave of negativity. "Clara, you have touched me, and I know I'm not the only one. You remind us that we are not alone in this world. We all have these scars we carry." Ethan saw more nods, more understanding bridging the gap separating Clara from the crowd. The skeptic at the back shifted his weight, clearly rattled by the change in atmosphere. Clara inhaled deeply, fueling herself with the words of those who were finally letting their guards down. "This is why I paint. This is why we have to speak. To shed light on our hidden truths, and show that there is no shame in our wounds." With each word, she felt an energy swell around her, lifting her up like a buoy in the stormy sea. Healing begins when we share, when we allow others to see us, broken as we might be. The air buzzed with a newfound energy. A woman in the front stepped forward, wiping her tears with a shaky hand. "I saw your painting and thought I'd just dismiss it, but maybe it's time I share my story too." The crowd reacted. People began to murmur amongst themselves, sharing anxious glances. Clara's chest swelled with unspeakable excitement and fear. "Please," she said, her voice dropping slightly to encourage the honesty that hung just below the surface. "Let us make this a safe space for everyone. Speak, tell me your story." But at that moment, uncertainty seeped back in, and Clara could feel their hesitation piercing the hopeful atmosphere she had built. The opposing voice echoed again, "Or maybe some stories are just better left untold." As whispers erupted anew, Clara's heart raced. Would her moment of bravery unravel? Would they truly step forward and share their pain, or would they retreat back into silence? The gallery was caught in this critical instant, teetering on the brink of connection or division. Clara held her breath, ready for the next words that would change everything or shatter them again. How much courage would it take for the crowd to trust her? Would they find strength in community, or would fear snatch it away? Clara felt the tension in the room shift again, like an unseen hand pressing down on her shoulders. What would it take to break through that veil of fear? She looked around, scanning the faces in the crowd. Some were hopeful, but others remained skeptical, clutching their reservations like a shield. Then, just as doubt began to grip her again, a young man stepped forward from the back. His shirt was rumpled, and his hair messy, yet there was a determined glint in his eyes, that seemed to burn away the shadows. "I want to share," he said, his voice wavering slightly but filled with sincerity. "My sister passed away last year, and I've spent too long blaming myself for not being there. I thought being strong meant holding it all in, but I can't do that anymore." Gasps rippled through the audience, and eyes widened as they leaned in. Clara's heart soared. Vulnerability spread like wildfire, igniting flames of courage in the hearts of everyone present. "Thank you for sharing this," Clara said softly, stepping closer to the young man. "You're showing us all that strength lies in honesty, in sharing our stories." He nodded, wiping at his eyes, the emotion spilling over like a tide. "I felt so alone, but hearing you, seeing your painting, made me realize I'm not the only one. I want to honor my sister by being real about my pain." The crowd responded with murmurs of agreement. An older woman, who had been quietly observing from the side, stepped forward, eyes glistening. "I lost my husband 3 years ago. I buried my grief, thinking it made things easier for my children. But it didn't. I want to share my story too." Her voice caught, but the authenticity pulled the crowd even closer. Clara could feel the palpable shift as the audience collectively drew strength from one another, like a web of honesty weaving them together. With a deep breath, Clara urged others to join in. "If you feel ready, please share your truth. We're here listening. This space is for you." One after another, stories began to spill out, a flood of confessions, sorrows, and unexpected joys. A woman recalled her battle with addiction. Another spoke of the heartache of infertility, while a younger girl, trembling but determined, shared her struggles with anxiety. Ethan glanced at Clara, pride swelling in his chest. He could see the light in her eyes, a fire lit by the shared experiences surrounding them. It wasn't a fight anymore. It was a dance of healing, each story adding layers to the tapestry within Clara's painting. Yet amid the tears and laughter, a dark shadow loomed at the edge of the crowd, the skeptic from before. He remained rooted, arms crossed tightly. "This is just a pity party," he called out, his voice slicing through the warmth. "People aren't going to change just by sharing trash." The words hit Clara like a punch to the gut. The atmosphere stiffened. Unsureness crept back in, threatening to unravel everything. Had they come this far just to be dismissed by doubt? But before Clara could respond, a gentle voice rang out from an older man standing quietly in the back. "Maybe not everything we share will change the world, but it might change one person, or even just ourselves." The crowd turned to him, and it felt like a collective breath was held. Clara's heart raced again. Would the crowd rally back, or would the skeptic's words resonate too deeply? Would they allow fear to dampen the vulnerability that had started to unfold? In this delicate moment, she became acutely aware of the power they all held in that gallery, each person a puzzle piece, and together they could make the picture whole. Clara felt the pulse of everyone's unguarded emotions, the courage rising like a wave. Would they break through the barrier together? Or would uncertainty continue to haunt them? A heavy silence followed the older man's words, thick and almost tangible. Clara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of expectation in the air. She stepped forward, her heart pounding, determined to keep the momentum alive. "He's right," she affirmed, her voice steadying as she addressed the audience. "Each story matters. Every shared moment has the power to shift perspectives, to spark hope." The skeptic shifted uncomfortably, but something in the crowd's energy began to push back against doubt. A middle-aged man raised his hand timidly. "I've been struggling with depression for years," he admitted. "I thought I was alone, suffering in silence. But seeing all of you here, realizing we are connected, it gives me hope." His honesty ignited a new wave of stories. Each voice ringing out was a lifeline, connecting them in their shared struggles. A woman spoke of her childhood and the scars of bullying that still haunted her. A young girl nervously revealed her battles with her identity, searching for acceptance in a world that often felt harsh and unforgiving. The crowd no longer felt like a group of strangers, but a community, stitched together by their shared vulnerabilities. In that moment, Clara felt the urge to paint again, to capture the emotions cascading before her like color upon a canvas. She imagined each story transforming into hues of hope, a sunset of healing spreading over them, sweeping away shadows. Her heart swelled as she glided her gaze across the crowd. Ethan beamed at her, his encouragement palpable. Clara gestured toward him, her voice rising above the din. "This is my friend Ethan. He helped me see the beauty in vulnerability. Sometimes, when we open up, we become a light for others lost in darkness." Ethan stepped forward, and the warmth in the room intensified. "I used to think strength was about being tough, bottle it all up. But true strength is in letting others see our truths," he said. "It's taking steps out of the darkness together." As he spoke, determination washed over the crowd. The skeptic looked uneasy, as if the room's energy was too much for his skepticism to withstand. Clara wondered if he might shatter, or if he would hold on tighter to his doubt. Then, unexpectedly, the older man from the back spoke again. "You know, sharing isn't pity. It's understanding. It's community, and it's accepting that we're all beautifully flawed." The skeptic's frown deepened, but the crowd swayed, moving forward in a collective breath of understanding. Clara caught glimpses of empathy reflected in the faces of strangers, hope alive in their eyes. Suddenly, a new voice piped up from the side. "Can I share too?" It was the younger girl who had spoken earlier, her voice barely rising above a whisper. But Clara could feel the tremor of her courage. The room turned to her, a wave of support sending ripples through the air. "Yes," Clara encouraged. "Please, share your truth." As the girl spoke, her words flowed like the gentle stream they had all been aching for. Each story mingling, merging, creating a vibrant tapestry of shared experience, weaving a net of joy and grief, hope and despair. Clara's heart swelled, and she felt compelled to venture toward the skeptic, who stood off to the side, arms still crossed. She tilted her head, searching his eyes. "What about you?" she asked gently. "What story would you share?" His brow furrowed deeper, but she sensed a crack forming in his resolve. Was vulnerability inching its way into his heart? Would he dare to let go of the barrier he'd built? In a place filled with such raw honesty, would he finally take that important step toward connection? Clara held her breath, waiting, as the room pulsed around them, a living organism of emotion and hope, waiting for him to respond. Clara felt the weight of the crowd's gaze, each person leaning in, willing to share the moment with the man who stood shrouded in skepticism. The silence thickened, almost daring him to break it. She could sense the shift in the air, the invisible threads of shared stories wrapping around him, nudging him gently toward the light. "Maybe I don't have a story," he finally muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. "But everyone has a story," Clara replied, her heart aching for him. "Even if it feels small or unworthy, it's still yours. It matters." Her words hung in the air, and the crowd waited with bated breath, hoping to hear something, anything, from him. He glanced around, measuring the expressions in the audience. A mixture of empathy and encouragement radiated from their faces. "I don't know if I can do this," he said, resignation coating his voice. "It's not about perfection," Ethan chimed in. "It's about being real. We're all here to support you." The skeptic's shoulders slumped, and he took a step back. Clara saw the storm of emotions crossing his face: fear, doubt, perhaps even a hint of longing. She could relate. The fear of being judged, of being vulnerable, was a burden many carried. But in a room filled with acceptance, all doubts felt a little lighter. "Try just one thing for me," Clara urged. "Just tell us your name." That essay start. Her eyes locked with his, soft and sincere. For a moment, the noise of the crowd faded, and it was just the two of them sharing a glimpse of understanding. He rubbed the back of his neck, glancing down at the floor, then back up at the sea of faces, which now felt less intimidating. "My name is Alex." There it was. A gentle ripple of acknowledgment surged through the crowd, an unspoken cheer for his bravery. "See?" Clara beamed at him, sensing the first crack in his armor. "You just shared something. Isn't that freeing?" "Yeah, I guess," he said, a ghost of a smile flickering across his lips. Clara's heart soared. They were on the verge of something potent and unraveling, a revelation, a connection. On this journey of sharing, we've each added colors to each other as stories, Ethan explained, his voice rich with warmth. Merging our experiences makes them stronger. Just like paint on a canvas. Clara could see Alex listening, considering the metaphor. Painting was a process of layering, just as personal growth was. It took messiness to create something beautiful. Feeling the tension lift like a heavy fog, Clara encouraged Alex further. "What made you come here tonight? What drew you to this gathering?" A slow inhale followed by a long exhale indicated he was wrestling with his thoughts. "I thought maybe there's something I could learn," he admitted quietly. "Something I'm missing." "A thirst for understanding," Clara echoed, her heart racing. They were inching closer to authenticity. "That's the first step." The crowd murmured in agreement, the shared sense of encouragement washing over them. "But it's hard to learn when you're locked inside your own head," Alex continued, his voice trembling slightly. "I don't even know where to start." "Maybe by acknowledging what you feel," Clara suggested, gently coaxing him. "What is it, fear, sadness? No one wants to sit with those feelings, but they can guide us toward healing." As Alex shifted his weight, his expression began to soften. I feel lost. Like I'm stuck in the dark. I want to connect, but," Clara prompted, holding on to the moment that was blossoming. "What if I can't find my way back to the light?" He looked at her, hope flickering like a candle behind his doubts. And just like that, Clara prepared to step deeper into the conversation, ready to explore the emotions that lay beneath his words, eager to dive into the darkness he feared and maybe find the way into light together. As she opened her mouth to share her own shadow journey, the room fell eerily silent. A sudden shout erupted from the back, causing all eyes to turn. "We can't let someone else sink in darkness while we're here to shine." Clara's heart raced. What had erupted now? Would this turn into a wave of solidarity or put them right back into doubt? She scanned the crowd, searching for answers, as the energy crackled with uncertainty. The moment was charged, and she knew everyone was waiting to see where it would lead next. Would Alex find his light, or would the darkness be stronger? Ethan stepped forward, his voice cutting through the tension like a warm breeze. "Let us remember why we're here. We're all searching for connection, for understanding. No one should have to face their darkness alone." He looked at the crowd, his sincerity palpable. "Who here has felt lost before?" Hands hesitantly rose across the room, and Clara felt a wave of unity wash over them. It was like the collective acknowledgement of pain was stitching an invisible bond among all present. Alex's eyes darted from one person to another, witnessing the vulnerability that was no longer just his alone. "See?" Clara guided softly, her heart swelling with hope. "You aren't the only one carrying that weight. We've all been there. You are supported." But Alex remained motionless, shadowed by his thoughts. "You don't understand," he said, his voice cracking. "I didn't just come here to share my fears. I came to hide from them. The darkness, it feels all-consuming." The crowd shifted, their expressions softening further. Clara felt the air thicken with empathy. "That darkness can feel overpowering," she admitted, her voice steady. "But in admitting it, you're taking the first step. You're already fighting back, Alex." "Yeah, man," Ethan added. "It's like a room lit by a single candle. When you face the darkness, you realize that little light can grow. You have the choice to let it shine. Alex wrapped his arms around himself, trembling slightly. How do I find it? His desperation turned palpable, and Clara could see the deep pain etched on his face, as if it had scratched at his soul. Sometimes, she replied gently, it's just about knowing you have a choice. You can either stay rooted in fear or take a tiny step toward what is out there. Trust that even the smallest light can guide you. This journey isn't always easy, Ethan interjected, but you don't have to be perfect. We all stumble. You can fall together with us, and we'll catch you. The room collectively inhaled, feeling the weight of his next words. Maybe I should have thought this before I came, Alex whispered, half to himself, but I guess I didn't want to feel disconnected anymore. I'm tired of feeling like I don't belong. His confession seemed to reverberate through the group, almost audible. Clara thought about her own feelings of disconnection in times past. She noticed how the audience leaned in closer, hearts echoing as one. Then don't let it hold you back, Clara urged softly, her voice now a thread weaving them together. You've already begun to connect by just being here. That speaks volumes. Alex looked down, his brows furrowing in thought. Clara waited, hoping the spark of connection in the room might ignite something within him. Then, unexpectedly, from the corner of the crowd, a teenage girl stood up. Her face was earnest, filled with conviction. I've been in a dark place too, she started, her voice unwavering. And it was when I thought I was completely alone that I found my voice through stories like these. The authenticity in her tone seemed to wrap around Alex, nudging him gently. With trembling hands, she continued, when I finally shared my own story, I found people who understood. People who helped me shine again. Clara held her breath, the emotional current surging as eyes flickered back and forth between them. Would those words resonate with Alex? In the hushed silence, Alex's expression shifted, a glimmer of understanding illuminating his features. As scared as I am, I don't want to be lost anymore. Before Clara could respond, the crowd erupted, words of encouragement spiraling into the air. You're not alone. Someone yelled. We believe in you. A sense of electricity filled the space, and Clara's heart raced. Would this give Alex the push he needed? But as the energy rose, like a hot air balloon, a sudden trace of fear crossed Alex's face. What if I break under the pressure? He stuttered, glancing nervously around. The room held its breath once more, waiting to see how this pivotal moment would unfold. Clara felt hope surge, but knew they stood at the precipice on the edge of change or retreat. Would Alex take another leap of faith? Or would the weight of expectations pull him back into shadow? His journey toward light hung delicately in balance, and all eyes remained glued to him, waiting for the choice he might make. The room hung heavy with anticipation. Alex's breathing quickened, eyes darting from one face to another. Clara could almost see the gears turning in his mind, the battle between fear and hope raging quietly within him. It was a liminal space, one filled with both trepidation and promise. He began, but the words hung there, caught in his throat like a stubborn ghost. Sweat beaded on his forehead, and Clara could sense the swell of emotions crashing around him. He was at a crossroads, the kind everyone faced at some point, where choice could lead to liberation or retreat. You won't break, Clara urged, stepping closer. You have people here who care. We all have our cracks, Alex. Her eyes shimmered with support, locking onto his, imploring him to see the truth in her words. You're not weak for feeling this way. You're allowed to be scared. We all feel that sometimes. Her voice had risen just enough to grab the attention of the crowd. Tension seemed to flicker like candle flames, ready to burst into something more, something transformational. Then Ethan stepped forward, arms open wide. This isn't about perfection. It's about being real. It's about sharing the journey with your tribe. His enthusiasm echoed with the heartbeat of the room, urging the rest to lean forward, drawn in by his spirit. Alex swallowed hard, attempting to free his tangled thoughts. But what if I ruin it all? What if I pour out my heart, and it doesn't change anything? The doubt slipped from his lips, heavy with vulnerability. Nothing can be ruined here, the teenage girl chimed in. She took a step closer as well, her expression mirroring fierce support. Your story matters, Alex. It has a place among all of ours. You might be surprised by the strength that comes from sharing it. The murmurs of agreement rumbled through the crowd. Clara could sense the energy shifting, gaining momentum, as Alex's gaze slowly shifted from his trembling hands to the faces around him. They wore expressions of trust, curiosity, and invitation. Every time you feel like you're about to break, Clara interjected, remember you're surrounded by people willing to catch you. You'll never be alone in this. Something in Alex sparked. His eyes glimmered, wet with unshed tears that reflected years of bottled-up emotions. There was a flicker of recognition, a deeply seated desire for connection rising to the surface. Slowly, hesitatingly, he placed his hands upon his chest. Okay, maybe I'm not afraid of breaking, he said, his voice stronger. Maybe I'm just afraid of being seen. The crowd leaned in even closer, each person holding their breath, waiting for him to take the plunge. Clara's heart raced. She could almost taste the change in the air. You might feel exposed, but being seen can also be an incredible release, the girl responded, her voice soft but powerful. Your real friends will love you even more for your honesty. They will see the you that you've hidden away. As if unbound, Alex inhaled deeply, filling his lungs with courage. I've been fighting my darkness, I thought sharing it would make it bigger. But maybe his voice caught for a moment, and Clara leaned in closer, her heart swelling with anticipation. Maybe it'll lighten the load, he finished, looking around the circle, eyes brightening with each word. Maybe by sharing, I won't only find connection, but also the parts of me I thought I'd lost forever. A ripple of applause broke out, echoing throughout the room. Clara felt hope ignite like the flame of a match catching the air. Alex had begun his journey toward breaking free. But just as Alex opened his mouth to share his truth, the door slammed open at the back of the room, and a figure stepped inside, casting an unexpected shadow over the moment. The entire atmosphere shifted, and it became clear that everything was about to change. Clara's heart raced even faster now, wondering what impact this new arrival would have on Alex's fragile openness. Would this be a moment of connection, or yet another layer of pressure? As the figure walked in, the gallery fell silent, breaths caught in the throats of onlookers. Clara's heart sank momentarily, as she recognized the silhouette Alex's father. His face was etched with concern, and Clara could feel the weight of uncertainty pressing into the air. What was going on inside Alex's mind? Would his father's presence flicker fear into his heart, or would it become a bridge toward deeper understanding? Alex. His father's voice cut through the quiet, filled with an urgency that made Clara's stomach churn. What are you doing here? A tension rippled through the crowd, and Alex's shoulders tensed. I'm sharing, Alex stammered, the words tumbling from his lips like scattered marbles. He looked between Clara, Ethan, and the supportive faces surrounding him. I want to connect. I want to get better. Better? By talking to strangers? His father's voice dripped with skepticism, arms crossed tightly over his chest. You don't think they can hurt you? Clara felt a swell of emotion rise within her. This was the moment that could spiral either way. Would Alex crumble under the weight of his father's expectations? Or would he glean strength from the love and support of those around him? The gallery buzzed anxiously, like a live wire, waiting to see how this would unfold. Dad, it's not about them hurting me, Alex responded, his voice cracking but determined. This is about healing. I need this. We all need this. The ripple of connection and courage filled the room, accentuating the seriousness of his words. For a moment, there was stillness. Clara could feel the collective heartbeat of the gallery, each person holding on tightly to hope. But would Alex's father see it too? Would he understand? Connecting with others isn't weakness, Dad, Alex continued, his gaze steady as he had never spoken like this before. It's about sharing burdens, helping each other carry the weight. Tension wavered, and Clara felt a sense of anticipation sweep through her. She could see a flicker in Alex's father's eyes, a crack in the armor he had built around himself. Son, he started, his voice softer now, I just want you to be safe. I don't need to hide anymore, Alex declared, his resolve tightening. I've been hiding behind fear and loneliness long enough. Here, I can be myself, each of us can, and that's how real healing begins. The atmosphere shifted as understanding poured in like fresh air. Clara felt the crowd settling back, united behind Alex's strength. His father's expression softened, and Clara watched as he softened too, filtering through the eyes of a worried protector, learning that vulnerability isn't just for the weak. I want to support you, he said slowly. But I didn't know how. I thought I was helping by keeping you safe. Being safe isn't the same as being alive, Alex replied gently. And you don't have to walk this journey alone either. Tears sprang to Clara's eyes as she witnessed the embrace of compassion blossoming in the space between father and son. What had once been guns drawn in a battle of misunderstanding transformed into tender understanding, like sunlight breaking through dark clouds after a storm. Suddenly, the entire room erupted with applause, each clap echoing the themes of connection and courage, and Clara felt the world expand around her. She caught Ethan's eye, and the smiling pride mirrored her heart's swelling warmth. Let us make this a space for all of us, Ethan said, stepping forward, nudging their newfound connection along. Can we celebrate together? We've all shared pieces of ourselves tonight. We've battled darkness and reclaimed our light. As more stories unfolded, inspired by Alex and his father, Clara felt the atmosphere thrum with possibility. One voice shared their journey of loss, another spoke of struggles with acceptance. The gallery became a haven where vulnerability was celebrated, and pain transformed into purpose. Clara's heart soared, and she could no longer hold back the tears as joy flooded through her, pooling in her heart. What had started as a small gallery exhibition for a forgotten artist exploded into a community of shining souls, a tapestry woven from shared human experience, inseparable and glowing brightly. Amidst the whirlwind of emotions, Clara realized she was witnessing a transformation, a metamorphosis that transcended her initial fears. Each shared story became a brushstroke, painting a masterpiece defined by resilience, compassion, and connection. As the evening drew to a close and people began to take their leave, Ethan turned to Clara and whispered, "We did it. You did it." Clara smiled, overwhelmed with gratitude. We all did. There was no more isolation, no more rigorous shadows lurking beneath surfaces. They had created something beautiful. As they stepped out into the night, a gentle breeze kissed their faces, the air heavy with the scent of possibility. Clara knew that she wasn't just an artist reclaiming her voice. She was a warrior in a battle for humanity, and together with Ethan, Alex, and the community, she had painted the start of something powerful. Let us keep sharing, okay? Alex said, beaming. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning. And as they walked into the warm glow of streetlights, Clara held tight to that sentiment. When hearts open, the light finds a way to radiate through the cracks. Hope can heal wounds, she thought, never far from the truth. As for the many souls now united, the possibilities stretched endlessly before them. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. This truly makes a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Remember, only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.